Greetings, Internet and fellow CT110 enthusiasts. What today I'm going to show you guys, since I haven't found very many videos on the internet, is basically, are you unable to shift, pops out of gear, really hard to shift, things of that nature. So what usually breaks is an internal, what they call a drum shift stopper. And I'm going to kind of show you guys what that looks like and go through the process of it. And feel free to share it and comment and give us some good info on it. All right, so what we're going to do, this happens to be a 1984 model that I picked up, and I've kind of refinished it, redid the plastic, painted it, new graphics. New toolbox, new graphics. I cleared over the top of it. New seat cover on it. Repainted the handlebars. Anyway, on this particular model, I'm going to show you real quick what to start with, and then I actually have the model I'm working on now of me basically tearing it down. So what you've got, I'm going to move this way, camera woman. You've got your regular shifter here. Back and forth, got your high-low range, but what happens is a lot of the time is you'll shift into gear, nothing happens, or you'll be in maybe second or third gear and it'll just pop out, whether it be downhill and stuff like that, and that can be very dangerous. So you need to basically look at that. So anyway, that's your shifter. So what you've got to do is, to get into it, it's actually an internal component that breaks on them, and what you actually have to do is you have to get in on the clutch side and you have to remove this actual clutch cover here. It has to come off to allow you to get into it. You end up having to take off the clutch itself, and then there's a flywheel gear in here that has to come off. So basically we're going to be taking off this cover here. It's held in by roughly about 9. These are a special bolt. They are Japanese, they call it JIS, or Japanese Industry Standard. Typically, you don't want to use any type of Phillips on it. You're going to end up stripping them out and cause yourself a lot of pain, which I had on this one over here. There is a substitute for it, a Phillips number 3. Actually does a pretty good job with an impact. So anyway, there's basically these screws all along here that hold the case. Kickstart will have to come off as well, and then while you're in it, the seal always tends to leak on these. So if you're going to the whole work of doing this, replace the seal. They're roughly about $10. I'll show you a little bit later in the video. I picked some of those up. So to get to this case, there's first things you have to do. So you have to remove the kick, the foot pegs, and they're held on by 4 bolts underneath here. So that's the first thing. You'll have to take those 4 bolts out, and then this will remove. Then you've got your skid plate right here. It's held on with 2 bolts here, and they're actually held on by the other 2 with the kickstart. So ideally you'll want to remove this. I'll show you a photo of those here. Stand by. All right, the next step when you get all that off, you're gonna have to drain the oil out of it. I already drained mine, so all that's been out of it. You want to have that drained out because you're going to have all of that residual in there. Got the bolts out, and then what I'm going to do is this cover, usually you have to bang it with a rubber mallet or something like that. The seal's on it. Just be careful when you're taking it off, or you will ruin the gasket. I've done this is the 3rd time. I've been able to reuse the gasket, no problems there. So just wiggle it off slowly. I've got a broken shoulder I'm healing it from, so I'm pretty wimpy. So as you'll see, it comes out. I've got a few of the parts missing, but they'll come out with it here. And you know, I'll actually put those parts here so you can see what they look like. Okay, here's the parts. This is the old kickstart oil seal. You can see it's trash. You can just get a screwdriver there and change it out. And I may do a separate video just on changing this guy out. It's not bad. Then inside the cover, basically what you'll have is you'll have your shift linkage. You want to make sure when this goes back on or off, this has to be centered exactly with this guy here. So you'll just have to kind of wiggle it back and forth. You see that looks about right. Then you have your bearing that would normally go in here. I'll throw it in. Anyway, it's being a pain. Then you would have your clutch alignment. I don't know, you'd call that 100%. And it would go here, and you've got your oiler. It sits in there. Make sure your spring sits there in it. And then you would have your spring, which is here. You'll see the little collar there. And normally that sits in here and your cover goes on. So as you take this cover off, these kind of want to spring, so just be careful as you take them off. Anyway, I'm going to pop those back out. But outfit change, and I just wanted to show you guys a little tidbit of kind of the herd I've got going on right now. Got about 3 of these beauties right now. This is the latest one we're working on here. It's an 82. This one right here, picked it up. It's only got about 1,800 miles on it. This one's at 83. This one runs really good. It's got the buddy seat on it. It's got a little bit of finishing. And then I've got a 84 over here. Go figure. Anyway, lots of things running around. We'll go back to this part. All right, we're going to show you new oil seal here. That's for the kickstart. And this is the part that is brand new. I had to order this. So if we take this guy and compare it to what you should normally have, you can see there's your problem. So what this does is this basically meshes with your star and keeps that in gear and allows it to shift in and out. As you can see with that broken, I was amazed I was able to shift. Mine was basically, I was able to go into first and second, third super hard, then third, fourth would go okay. Same with shifting out. So like I said, having these. So this is the guy you need to replace. So to get to that, if you can see, this is held in. There's no way to get that out. That's held in with a 10 or 12 mil bolt. You've got this basically flywheel gear here. So what you've got to do is the clutch has got to come out. So to take that out, you've got to take out these 2 screws. To get access into, you've got a nut behind here. So we're going to do that. Okay, we've got a PH2 in here. We're going to try that. Like it says, JIS is better. We're just going to go real easy. I think I came out. Go with this one. So anyway, this is your cover here. This is your clutch adjustment nut. With that, like it says, it's got to clean it out a little bit more. But that's basically it. Go ahead and turn it down. Doesn't look like much is leaking. So what you've got here, right behind this gasket, I can pull it back here just enough. You have your internal oil screen. Oh man, I'm gonna have to get pliers. We'll come back to it. Anyway, that's your internal oil screen. This is the only time you can actually clean that. You've got to clean that. It'll filter out your oil sump, keep any crap going through your motor, but they gum up, so it's also another good time to clean those. They are basically kind of like a wedge, so take note as you take that out. We'll see if I can't either clip back to that, or maybe I'll make a video about that as well. Anyway, so when you get into it, this is basically your clutch. And what we've got to do is that'll have to come off. But inside here, this little lever right here is, I don't know if you can see it, that is broken. This is what they call a drum shift stopper. That should not be like that. I will show you what they should look like. Okay, you gotta be real careful as you take this off. It's basically got an oil seal in between here and there, or a gasket seal. You gotta be real careful or you'll mess up that seal, and then you have to order one of those, and I don't even know if you can get them anymore. So we're real careful getting that off. Stick it. Yeah, okay. Hey, see, that comes out. That goes to your clutch right there. Set it down. Okay, what we're up against right now is you've got this nut that has to come off, and you've got these keeper tabs. You can see someone's been into this. Normally they're lined right up straight with one of these notches. Anyway, you've got to bend back this metal to allow this nut to come off. And then I had to buy a specialty socket for this to get this off. So that is something to be aware of, unless some other people make them out of sockets. If you feel inclined to do so, I would say you could probably get away with it. I just bought one, they're about 20 bucks. So anyway, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna pull this tab back. Probably gonna require a smaller screwdriver and a hammer. Bent this guy back, and basically now we're ready to get my impact, and we're gonna get this socket that'll take that off, so. All right, so here is basically your socket that you're gonna use to take that nut out. A lot of people, they'll put straps on this to keep the clutch. With a big Milwaukee impact like this, it usually does a pretty good job. So you just come in here and you can see it did a good job. Knocked that baby right off. So that's off. Then you're gonna have your retaining ring, and you can replace those if you need. Then this clutch is gonna come off. May take a bit of, I may have to get a little rubber mallet on it and use it to help wiggle this off. I've got a bum arm. Okay, I had to take this out. It was causing the clutch to stick on it a little bit. That's just your little keeper. And then this is your clutch coming out. So that's your clutch. Underneath here, you've got basically your clutch plates, you've got metal, then you've got your, I don't know if they're composite or whatever they're made of. I think there's 4 or 5 clutch plates underneath here. Very simple. I'm not gonna do any videos on that at the moment, but that's your clutch. And now that we're into there, you'll see, here's the big pulley wheel that we've got to take off to remove this. So you've got a C-clip. We'll pop that off. There's your C-clip. Take it off. Throw it over there. That's going to allow you to take this gear out. Off comes the gear. Pretty simple. Then that's going to get us into exactly where we need to be. You can see you've got a spring here on the bottom or the back side. We're going to take this out. That's probably a 10 mil. This is just bolted into the case, so take care when you're taking that off, and we'll basically back this guy out here. Get the tool for that and show you that process. Go ahead. Okay, I'm just backing this bolt out, 10 mil. It's gonna come out. This damn seal's in the way, but I don't really want to take it off because they always break. So anyway, you'll see as I'm taking it off, see there's that spring. You want to make sure you don't lose it. Ooh. Okay. That's all the problem of everything. Too bad it's such a friggin' pain to get to. There's your bolt that came out. You keep track of it. Then you'll just get your new one. You'll set it in here. Bolt over the top. You'll make sure it gets in the keeper here. I'll grab the new one. Bad. Good. Good, bad. Yeah? Yeah? Anyway, we'll throw this guy in. The other thing is I've got to go find out the missing piece. Usually they'll be in your case if you catch it right away. If not, I've heard they go underneath your crankshaft in there, so I may have to do some fishing, but I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy replaced. Place that in it, just make sure the spring goes in, slowly work it in with the bolt, got your spring underneath, and then basically you've got your neutral first, second, third. Shift it while I kind of show you. This, you gotta have this moving.
Okay, first.
Yep, go ahead and go to first. Yep, there's first. Give me second. There's second. Yep, give me third. Yep, third, and one more. Fourth. That's the way to verify. You can see with that thing being broken, it ain't gonna shift. Also, the note on this bolt here, a lot of people I've read, they like to Loctite it. Looking at that star on the upper part of the screen, you'll want to make sure that that bolt, or some of them I've seen have screws in, you want to make sure that's torqued in place too, because that can also be a source of shifting problems. So make sure you check both of those components. You've also got the shift drum fork down below. Check it. I wanted to add that to you guys. Okay, we're gonna throw the, I don't know if the proper terminology for flywheel, but your big flywheel gear here. So it just goes on, it's not keyed any particular way. That goes back. On. C-clip, that'll go back on. And then we'll put the clutch on. You have to make sure when you take that clutch off that you make note that this guy makes it on. You're basically a little roller bearing. It's got your holes in it for oiling. Clean it if you need to. It feels a little stiff. I may clean that up with a little burn on stuff. Anyway, I'm gonna put the circlip on, and then I am gonna put the clutch back on. Cut back to you putting the clutch back on. All right, got the clutch back on. Nuts on underneath it, jam nuts in place, covers in place. I had to clear out. There was some crud inside that. You'll want to make sure you clear it out. So now we're ready to basically put the case and all the components together. The only way that's feasible is you got to lay the bike down on its side. So if you want to get a block of wood, whatever, I'm not that worried about this one going on its side. So you're going to lay it over on its side. Turned on its side, just put a ball under it. Key thing here, I fought one forever. Make sure the shifter on the other side, make sure it has no weight on it. So I just shoved a ball under this. That shifter is going to be free floating. You don't want anything pushing it up, because it'll push out on all of this clutch stuff and your alignment will never happen on it. Anyway, so got my parts here. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put in the bearing. You've got your riding side, that's gonna go out. Pre-lube these when you put them in, so everything will be nice and good. That guy's in. And next, this is gonna be your shift lever positioner. Make sure you've got that oiler tube with the spring. Those go down, you'll see this kind of free hangs. So anyway, this guy's gonna come down in, and it's gonna, you'll see it kind of free float. Next, you've got your shift positioner that's gonna come onto here. And remember what I talked about? This thing basically just needs to be centered with the hole. That's gonna be your big deal here. So as I come down, you can see that. That looks about where we wanna be. You can see these splines enough. Nope, that's too much. That's about perfect. See, that's too much. So, right, that's the position we want to be in. See, this guy's floating here. Okay. Next, you'll see it's got a nice little collar there for a spring. How convenient. It's got a little bit of goop on it. Next, we're gonna have our bearing carrier for the outside adjustment of the clutch. This guy, you'll see the groove at the top, two bottoms, and then you've got the curve here. Curve's gonna go to the bottom. You can kind of see everything. There's that. So now we're gonna get our cover and it's gonna go down on. You'll notice I don't have my gasket in there. I'm gonna put that on after the fact, or the oil seal. I'm gonna put that on after the fact. This guy comes down. Come down over the shifter, and you'll just kind of have to, everything here is just a matter of feel. You see, boom, that baby's on. And that's what you want. Nice and seated in there. It goes right on the caps. You can see that's a good fit. Perfect. That's what we're looking for. That's why it's necessary. Lay this thing on side, let gravity be your friend. Otherwise, all that stuff's gonna pop out. You'll never get it from being in a upright position. So that baby's on. I'm gonna put the oil seal on, and then basically we're gonna start putting this thing back together. But that is the main hard part of it completed. All right, people, we are basically gonna finish up here. Looks like we just lost the overhead light, that's great. So basically, here's all the bolts that I took out of it. You've got 4 that go on the foot pegs like we talked about. And then I'm gonna show you guys kind of the difference. You've got 2 longer bolts that go in the case. This is compared to the shorter ones that you have with the rest of them. So 2 long, 1 short. Make sure you watch earlier in the video if you didn't watch of which ones are your long ones. I can show you that right now. On the case, I marked them already. So I basically had a long one that went right here, right by your kick. And then I had a long one, I believe right here. I may have wiped it off with the cleaner. Isn't that lovely? I may have to go back and look at photos. Probably have to watch my own videos to see where it's at. That's why you do it. And probably don't use cleaner on your markers. Anyway, you'll assemble those guys back in, put in all your screws. Then you will put on, I would probably recommend your skid plate first. Put it on. Make sure you get your rectifier regulator back in. Make sure it's grounded well. It's a good time to clean those connections up a little bit because that's your ground. If your rectifier isn't going to work correct, you're going to end up blowing all your bulbs and stuff like that, which you probably all know about. That's great about these things. Anyway, you'll put on your skid plate, then your foot pegs, 4 bolts there. Foot pegs go on, and then you're gonna put in your oil of choice. Very important. If you look here, I don't trust myself sometimes, and I don't trust others, so I'll just put a safety on there. No oil. Add your oil into it, and right. Hope you guys thought it was helpful. Watch some more of my videos. I'm going to put out more content. I really love the 110s, even the 90s I'm warming up to, but I always grew up on 110s. Check out my other videos and share it. Hopefully it's helpful. Thanks.